Today we're here at the University of Washington Quad, Seattle, Washington, and we're visiting the Yoshino cherry trees that were planted here in the early 20th century. There's some question and some controversy, and has been for a while, over where these trees came from, who brought them here, who planted them here. There are some stories that say they were originally planted in the Arboretum, which is a couple miles from here. Some stories say they were planted here by the Works Progress Administration in the 1930s. I don't know the exact origin of the trees, but I would like to talk a little bit about the condition of them. These trees are better part of 100 years old, maybe 90 years old. They're awesome trees. We actually came just a little bit before they bloom. These trees are just about to bloom any day now. We're supposed to have a warm day next week, and when we do, likely the blooms will completely come out. But the trees, all in all, are quite healthy, but to the extent that they struggle from the same things that most trees struggle from, which is, number one, the most invasive species on Earth, Homo sapiens, including me standing here touching them. Touching trees is important. It's important for our mental health. It's important for us as arborists to touch trees and get a feel for trees. The downside for the tree is that by touching it, I stand on the soil, further compact the soil. The trees has roots that are growing throughout this area. The trees struggle with competition from turf grass, the green stuff you see there, that wants to take up all the water and most of the water and most of the nutrients. The soils are compacted. That's part of the reason. The trees, this type of a cherry tree naturally likes to grow surface roots, but in particular it does so when the soil underneath is compacted and sometimes overwatered, sometimes underwater. The conditions are just not perfect. Let's just say it like that. So the trees do a great service for the visitors, for people who come here to visit. They provide something that's just completely awesome. And unfortunately, like I say, we came a little bit before the trees completely bloomed. But if you can ever visit this location, or even see the video online, there's cameras set up here. It's quite spectacular. I'll show a few things about this tree as an example, and likely all the other trees have their own struggles, have similar struggles. One example, you can see the punky wood, the decay that's building up in here. Probably at some point there was another limb here maybe not that big, maybe about 7 or 8 inches in diameter, that got broken off or pulled out. You can see the tree has developed a very strong reaction wood. So that's a sign of strength, is when you see this reaction wood, when you see this rounded formation. That's the tree trying to heal off the wound. It'll just basically let all this go. So that punky wood has probably been decaying in there for years. There's nothing wrong with the punky wood. It brings in insects and birds, and then which brings in birds to eat the insects, and then ultimately the birds spread the seeds. So this is nature's way. Here's another example. When you see the blooms growing immediately, adventitious bud, well, what we call adventitious buds growing directly from the bark like this, that's just a stress sign. That's the tree having a certain amount of struggle to get nutrients all the way out to the ends of the limbs, and so it'll put out flowers wherever it can. It's not uncommon, and it's really not even that bad of a stress sign, and if anything, it's kind of pretty. But that's why you'll see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like this one's bloomed, right? Like this is like the first flowers that bloom.
Oh wow, yeah. Quad. Now I didn't notice this before, but somebody's placed maybe some sort of a doll in there. Looks like a Hawaiian doll, and she's stuck in there pretty good. I won't try to get her out.
It's almost like growing around her.
Maybe it's a good luck. Maybe it's a good luck sign. But you know, the trees are quite mature. They won't live forever, but they're doing very well, and they're extremely well cared for. And it's, like I say, it's really important for me as an arborist, and I think it's just good for a person's general mental health to get into nature. This isn't exactly nature, as you can see. I mean, anytime we see greenery, we like to think of it as nature. But if you stand here and you open your eyes wide and turn 360 degrees in a circle, there's a lot of plants here and a lot of things that grow by, that Mother Nature takes care of. But everything here is planned. Everything here is planted. Every one of these trees is planted. The grass is planted. Obviously, all the hardscape over the root zones of the trees was manufactured. All the buildings were manufactured. So this isn't exactly nature. A tree is a natural element in the built environment. You know, you want to see the way trees really live, you got to go out in the woods where nobody's ever been to disturb it. But it's close, and sometimes it's as close as we can get, and it's really important. I think it's really important to touch trees. Let's take a close-up look at some of the blooms that are about to happen. I want to be really careful with this, but you can see these buds. These are going to flower anytime, and it'll happen overnight. They'll be like this one day, and then you'll wake up in the morning and come back, and these buds will be completely open. It takes us, trees, like all plants, they rely on weather. You got to have a certain amount of freeze in the winter to. It's too hard to explain, but you got to have a certain amount of freeze to make all this happen. But these will probably burst out in a couple of days. We're supposed to have 70 degrees one day. Today it's probably in the low 40s, but we're going to have a 70-degree day in I think 2 or 3 days. And when that happens, when that comes, most likely these will all burst out all at once. It'll be totally spectacular.